The January 25, 2024 lawsuit against WWE and its former chairman, Vince McMahon, includes some huge allegations, including sex trafficking. In the weeks since it was filed, plenty of former and current WWE talents have registered their thoughts. Maria Kanellis-Bennett has plenty of experience with Vince McMahon as a boss. Kanellis-Bennett was part of the 2004 Diva Search and earned a WWE contract, first as a backstage interviewer and then as an active wrestler. She returned to the company with her husband, Mike Bennett, for a second run in 2017. A staunch advocate for women's rights in wrestling and elsewhere, Kanellis-Bennett did not mince words about McMahon's alleged misdeeds. She posted to X, formerly Twitter, "Many of us experienced or heard rumors of different levels of evil for years. Some tried to speak up to build momentum to change the culture in WWE. Many times we've been called bitter or crazy. Others have been paralyzed by fear. I pray for all of the victims, the ones that have spoken up, the ones no longer with us, and the ones that suffer in silence." Kanellis-Bennett named one of those no longer with us, former WWE star Ashley Massaro, who died in 2019. Kanellis-Bennett was on the WWE tour of Kuwait in 2007, during which Massaro was sexually assaulted by someone representing himself as a United States Army doctor, according to a sworn affidavit released after Massaro's death. Since news of the lawsuit broke, Vice News released a previously unpublished statement from Massaro claiming she was punished professionally for rejecting McMahon's sexual advances. Rob Van Dam's relationship with WWE goes back to 1997's ECW Invasion storyline, when Jerry the King Lawler first dubbed him Mr. Monday Night. He would then return in 2001 to take part in another Invasion angle, following WWE's purchases of WCW and ECW, in what was his longest stint with the company. In total, Van Dam spent parts of 9 years working for WWE, as well as sporadic appearances between 2019 and 2023, including a Hall of Fame induction in 2021. Van Dam, who has made 4 appearances for AEW since August of 2023, spoke up about the lawsuit on his One of a Kind podcast, calling the allegations shocking and alluding to the graphic text messages included in the court documents.
I can't imagine the Vince McMahon that I know speaking like that person that texted those messages.
RVD went on to draw a connection between the allegations and the short story The Most Dangerous Game, indicating that the alleged behavior stems from abuse of power. He said, "You see these movies where they let people out in the woods and hunt them down and shoot them, like a rich people's game. I make the comparison there, someone that has such a hunger for power that they need to control someone." Lance Storm competed in WWE from 2001 to 2005 and has also worked for the company as a trainer and producer, ending his tenure in 2020. Calling the McMahon allegations disgusting, Storm shared his thoughts on Wrestling Observer Live. Storm noted he was one of the people saying McMahon should be out of the company when a 2022 Wall Street Journal report revealed payouts made to multiple women who accused McMahon of sexual misconduct. McMahon eventually forced his way back into power and ultimately into the position of TKO executive chairman before resigning in January. Storm said he stopped watching WWE television when McMahon returned to the company to oversee its merger with UFC. As host Brian Alvarez ran down the list of allegations, Storm reacted further, calling the alleged conduct disgustingly horrible.
And he needs to be gone and done, and I hope there's criminal charges brought if any of this is even remotely true.
Going on to reference the numerous non-disclosure agreements McMahon had reportedly asked women to sign, Storm was pretty convinced that everything insinuated was rooted in truth. As for anyone else involved that hasn't been named yet, Storm says they should be permanently shown the door as well.
I think there needs to be a legitimate cleaning house of anyone who covered anything up, who knew about this.
Brie and Nikki Garcia performed in WWE as the Bella Twins on and off between 2007 and 2022, and were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2020. The sisters' stepfather is John Laurinaitis, a former WWE executive and a defendant in the lawsuit. Soon after the news broke, they released a joint statement on X, which read in part, "We are shocked and disheartened with the recent allegations against members of the WWE. This is something we don't stand for or condone from anyone, no matter who they are. We want all women to feel safe and supported in the workplace and in their everyday lives. It stands to reason that the Garcias are uniquely mortified by what the lawsuit contains, both as it pertains to a longtime boss, McMahon, and their mother's husband, Laurinaitis. The pair left WWE in 2023, not renewing their contracts in favor of focusing on various outside business interests, including the Nikki and Brie Show podcast, a memoir, a wine label, multiple apparel lines, and television appearances on shows like Barmageddon and Twin Love, a dating show that the sisters will co-host together. Former WCW president Eric Bischoff was once Vince McMahon's greatest rival, but he also worked for McMahon, appearing as an on-screen WWE authority figure in the early 2000s and serving briefly as executive director of SmackDown in 2019. As news of the lawsuit came out, Bischoff called the very core of the story evil, predicting on his 83 Weeks podcast that Vince McMahon would likely be erased from WWE history, invoking the name of someone else whose crimes caused him to be largely scrubbed from memory.
He's going to be right there with Chris Benoit in the minds of a lot of people. It'll be a name not to be mentioned.
Bischoff also expressed sympathy for numerous people he saw as victims. After saying that he hopes the plaintiff in the lawsuit, Janelle Grant, quote, finds the right spiritual and mental health guidance, Bischoff turned his thoughts toward the McMahon family, son Shane, daughter Stephanie, wife Linda, and several grandchildren, as well as many of the remaining WWE employees. He said, "These are people that I've met and have worked with, and I'm seeing how they've treated others, and they're having to bear this as well." WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth freakin' Rollins is one of the company's most popular performers, which might lead one to believe he'd keep quiet about the lawsuit. Speaking with Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, Rollins said,
"It's abhorrent, and I hope that if the allegations are accurate, I hope that anybody who's involved with it gets what's coming to them, because it sucks, dude."
In a different interview with the Maggie and Perloff radio show, Rollins explained that WWE's performers are largely separate from those working in the office. He said, "You feel terrible, and you wish you could have seen it or done something, but at the end of the day, your job is your job, and that's what we do. We show up and we try to give the people who buy the tickets the best possible show we can." The realization that McMahon isn't who he thought he was clearly stings for Rollins, who has been with the company since 2010 and recently indicated that, with his contract set to expire soon, he'd like to remain in WWE forever. Rollins seems to still be coming to terms with the reality of this dark cloud now hanging over the company. For me, it's very difficult because, again, I didn't see that side of him. I didn't experience that. And so when you see stuff like that, it's jarring, it's painful, and it sucks all around. There's just no other way to say it. Bret the Hitman Hart, whose up-and-down relationship with McMahon dates back 40 years, tore into the man he used to call a father figure in an interview with Slate. Hart said he's okay with the truth coming out, adding, "I'm not worried about Vince's feelings. He's never cared about mine." Hart had some time to prepare for the lawsuit, stating that others in the business had warned him that McMahon was going to be in major trouble soon enough, but nothing could brace him for some of what the lawsuit contained. He said of the most explicit details, "When you get that vision in your head, you go, that's messed up. It's too sick and disgusting to really imagine." Unlike Rob Van Dam, Hart said that he identified the text messages included in the lawsuit as being in McMahon's voice, saying, "They sound like Vince." Hart said he wouldn't be the man he is today without McMahon, but was clear-eyed about his vision of the man now, comparing his former mentor to some other infamous figures, saying, "It's like Jeffrey Dahmer, Harvey Weinstein, or Jeffrey Epstein. Vince will be a joke." Hart and McMahon had plenty of well-documented conflicts over the years. All the while, the former world champion said he maintained a level of respect for his former boss. Until now, Hart said, "Now, knowing what kind of a weirdo he became, I have absolutely zero respect for him." Jake the Snake Roberts worked for the then WWF for the better part of a decade and has made several more appearances over the years, including a Hall of Fame induction in 2014. It stands out pretty glaringly then that news of the lawsuit and McMahon's alleged behavior within didn't really catch Roberts off guard at all. He said on his Snake Pit podcast, "It doesn't surprise me, and that bothers me. For me to be able to say, that doesn't surprise me, it leaves me thinking, man, this is pretty disgusting you're looking at here, and it doesn't surprise me." Like Van Dam, Roberts said he views McMahon's alleged behavior as an abuse of power.
"I believe the man is obviously partially insane. He's drunk with power. He has been for a long time."
Using an example right out of WWE's storylines, Roberts cited the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club as an indicator of what the real-life Vince was like off-camera seeping through onto TV screens. He said, "To see and read the lawsuit and not be surprised by it makes me shake my head, man. Just so disgusting."